Hello everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studio. It is a chilly Tuesday morning, and as Halloween closes in and we enjoy the local spookiness, our personal Christmas decorating processes continue. So last week we created this cute little house, all in grays, pewters, and silvers. So I picked up a couple more at the Dollar Tree, and now we're working on one in browns and golds. So I'm not going to chat a lot. I'm doing lives right now when I get a few free moments. It's getting crazier as the holidays get closer. So I'm giving us a few minutes of fun painting for the holidays. Now I'm going to pull this a little back. Might shove my tripod back a little bit so we can see it. And here's our house. So now, last week, we used the Saman water-based stain to go in the background and create this chocolate brown background. The color of the stain is indeed chocolate brown. And then I sealed it up with AquaGuard gloss because our Saman water-based stain re-wets itself when you put more water-based products over it, and I didn't want anything to bleed. So now we're on to the next step. Hey Patricia, nice to see you with us. Thanks for coming in. And Joy, hi honey, how are you? Good to see you here. I'm gonna shift my tripod back a little because my angle's off here. And I just wanna be able to have you all see this a little better. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is start with painting various areas in this with our set coat colors so that then we can move on and do foiling and whatever else I want to do. So we're going to be using several colors of faux effects set coat today. The first one we're going to be using is set coat metallic brown. And you'd think I hadn't even had coffee. And then we're going to also use, I got to move some things out of the way because I am heaped up around me as usual, set coat True Gold. And we're going to use set coat Neutral White. Now clearly I will have poured the big gallons into littler cups, but when we use the True Brown, I'm going to just dip out of the lid. Why? Because we're only using it in small spaces, and I can do that without cross-contaminating. So I'm just going to use whatever little bits here in the lid. I'm going to take one of our brushes, dipping in and just going in to behind the window background. So now that I've done the other one and I have a feel for how these houses work, first one's always a challenge to me. So sometimes I work one in what I wouldn't consider normally the best order, but I was figuring out my process, and I'm okay with that. So this wow, I'm really stuttering today. I apologize. I cannot grab my words. I've had that going on since I woke up today. So in this one, I'm going to do the window backgrounds first because I'm going to be painting lighter colors over it. And it's usually, I have found, easier to go from dark to light or top to bottom, depending on exactly what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm working basically from the rear up, but I'm also choosing my dark colors first to get those filled in, and then we'll do the lighter colors over it. Now, mind you, I am looking, great, I'm painting. Maybe I should just stop this right now and go and come back tomorrow because I'm stuttering, I'm blopping stuff. Not that it really concerns me, but it's kind of showing me how my day's going. So you're seeing this from a different angle than I am. I can't see what's happening back here under this raised area, so that when I finished all painting the backgrounds in this angle, I turn my house around to make sure I've got all areas painted, because it's really easy to miss something if you don't turn it around. I'm going to get in here. took the last, Sundays and Mondays are my days off. So I spent most of Sunday doing the seasonal wardrobe change out because it went from 80 degrees to 40. And now it's cold. And of course, we're going to have one more hot day this year. Thursday's supposed to be almost 80 here, and then it drops right back down into the 40s. So we're we're moving to cold weather fast with a few little complaints from Mother Nature who keeps saying, no, we still like summer. We barely feel like we had summer, so come back. Okay, when you see me going back into these windows like that and then coming in here, I've put paint on a little heavier in here, and so I can dip back into it, and what that does is smooth out the paint in here and give me a little more paint on my brush to go into another recess. And I have this one to do, and then I will turn it around to make sure I've gotten up under all the cutout details that I can't see from this direction. So I finished the closet swap out, and then my son and I went out. We voted yesterday. We got shipments out, and then did a little more planting. I'm slowly but surely accruing tubers and bulbs so that I don't have to do this every year, and I get a nice big beautiful bulb garden going. So yesterday, what did I plant yesterday? I gotta think for a second. Oh, I planted lupine yesterday. So I'm trying to remember where I plant things in my bulb gardens so that I get nice drifts and shapes. But I got to tell you, the best way I've found to have naturally occurring drifts in any garden is to be like me and absolutely forget where you planted anything. And so that when it all comes up in the spring, it's a huge surprise. So yeah, I've always called myself an accidental gardener because I don't know whether I consider my garden an accident or the fact that I actually like doing it is accidental, but I have no idea how good I am at it. Okay, so when I turn it this way, I can see all the gaps that I missed looking at it in the other direction, and there's a lot of them. You don't see them if you don't change your point of view on here. Get up in here. I love, when I was in my 20s and 30s, we didn't have cute stuff like this to paint because laser cut, that wasn't a thing. So I'm loving what's developing in all these inexpensive but super creative and wonderful shapes that we have available for us to do really awesome ornamenting and designs on. I'm so excited by this. This was real. I mean, if I go back to, all right, well, I'm going to date myself, but, if I go back to my 70s and the 80s, this, we were still making stuff out of macrame and fuzzy ribbon, the fuzzy yarn ribbons that all the little girls used to tie in their hair. That's what we were doing stuff with. And I had some wonderfully creative friends of our families, and they kind of became my second grandparents, and I worked for their son, that built stuff like this long before anybody else did. And the dad used to make doll houses, and I had beautiful wooden cutout Christmas trees that he made that we'd trim up in holly and hang ornaments on every year. And that was so unique then, and I'm so excited that more of that's available to people now that we didn't have, you just couldn't get it then. All right, now I have to paint the background on my door. And unlike the other door, I'll remind you, on this one, the door frame is raised. Let's see if you can see that from the side here. This has got the dimension, and these were flat. On this one, all the windows have the raised frame like this one up here, but the door frame is flat. So we're going to be working with a slightly different surface here. And yes, I could be using a bigger brush to fill in some of these areas, but I'm fine with working with this small one. It doesn't, in the long run, the end result of this, it won't make any difference. And it'll help me keep a little control over the lines and not, having too big a brush trying to get into these little tiny corners. And there are two schools of thought saying, the right tools make the job. And then there's the other school of thought that is a truly good painter, well-trained, can make stuff happen with whatever tools he's given. So here's my take on that. Yes, I can make do with whatever's given to me. But if I can find the tools, like good brushes and good lighting and everything else, that makes me do my job well and with ease, I'm all about it. So that's why I have a huge collection of paintbrushes. Some I use more than others because some are better brushes than others. I have tools that I use that, yes, they don't solve any problems, but what they do is don't make it harder for me to do my jobs. So tools matter, and if you take care of your tools, they take care of you. But they are not the only thing. So if you see me using something, if you see me using a brush that you don't have, that doesn't mean you have to go out and get it. It means that you might have something, this is a tool I have and it works for me, and you might have something that works for you. All I want is to have tools that don't work against me, and trust me, I've had those. I've worked with brushes that were so bad that it was a fight to lay anything down with them. And I've worked with trowels that were so beat up and warped that it was really, really hard to get a good result. So yeah, the tools don't make the artist, but they sure can help make the work not fight you. Okay. And then I gotta paint the inside of the wreath. I have used eyeliner brushes in a pinch. I use makeup brushes all the time when I'm doing certain things, but it really is just whatever fits the job I'm doing. That's the tools that I have. I make sure I have what I need. But I have also jerry-rigged some very creative solutions that I hope I never have to use again. Check in here, make sure I get all my corners. And again, changing the position helps you see what you might have missed. Go flip it this way. Yep. Okay, so now that's all done. We're going to move on to, let's see, need another brush. We're gonna paint, well, actually what I wanna do is the window frame, so let's get a different brush for that, because that one's gonna be too big. And we're gonna use, for the framing, we're gonna use Set Coat Metallic Gold. Is there a specific brand of brushes that I recommend? I have a lot. I love Lowell Cornell. I think this one's a Pierre Finkelstein, which you order directly from him. He's not sold in stores. I love Kolinsky brushes. I love a good sable brush. My taste in brushes is like my taste in shoes, expensive. But I take care of my brushes, even though the handles may not look like it. I work really hard to keep the bristles in good condition. And even when they get cruddy, I gotta tell you, I can make them do some really nice stuff. I transfer them from one kind of painting to another. Now I'm working with Set Coat Metallic Gold. And if you look close, you can see I don't get perfect coverage with it. Metallics have translucent bases so that you can see the metallic particles in there and they get that nice shimmer, but you don't get an awful lot of perfect coverage with it. So normally, it's not a problem here. What I'm doing is laying down an undercolor to go under foil. But if I was to use this, say, on a wall and wanted this as my wall color, I would start out with an undercolor underneath it. Like my first layer would probably be something like Faux Effects chamois or something, or maybe woody yellow, because I want to go with a base that's close to the tone here. And then the metallic goes over it and it looks so much better. You're not fighting an undercolor. You've already set the tone for the way the metal's gonna read. So that is my tip for painting metallic paints. Now sometimes you will get some that have flawless metallic coverage. I've had some of those. Faux Effects has made some of them, but unfortunately most of them don't seem to dry very hard. They tend to be very kind of mushy feeling even when dry. So I love Set Coat because I can get all the metallics I want. And you can see here that the metallic brown covered really well, but the metallic true gold is sheerer. So you have to also watch what color is. Because like I can get perfect coverage with metallic true brown, no problem. 2 coats, great. Metallic true gold, I need an undercolor. And some of this just comes from knowing the product. And of course, if you're trying to figure something like that out, you can always ask me. I'm always happy to help. But I love Set Coat because this is going to just go sink into this wood nicely. It might pop the grain a little bit because this is not an expensive piece, but it's going to look so great when it's done. And the gold already looks really sharp on here. Go back and smooth out any of my brush strokes that I'm not happy with. I will tell everybody, my personal suggestion is when you go to some place like Michael's. I'm also, by the way, a big fan of Dick Blick. If you don't have one locally, shop them online. Their prices are excellent, and they have a bigger selection of paintbrushes and things like that. But what I was going to say is that I'm also a big fan of Dick Blick's student line for bigger brushes. They have nice bristles and they spread paint well. And the pricing on them is very, very good. But I also wanted to share that if you're given the option and you only need one brush, you need a specific size, I will suggest that you invest the money in one good brush and take care of it. than buying a pack of brushes that has one that's the right size, that are cheap brushes, because they will not last you well. They're not designed to. I'd rather spend the same amount of money on one good brush and know I can care for it and have it last a long time for me. Than buy cheap brushes and constantly have to go back and replace them. And, you know, seriously, take care of your brushes. Don't leave them sitting around with stuff stuck on them and just hardening them up. And I say this as somebody who does that all the time. But I've learned to be more attentive to that. But it is really true. If you take care of your equipment, it'll last forever. I have regular house brush painting brushes that I've had since the very first day I started doing this professionally, because I keep them clean. Well, and quite frankly, last year I haven't even really used them, but I still have them. They're still completely usable, and they did me a lot of hard labor over, 30 years. So definitely, if you have an extra dollar or two to do so, buy one good brush. Do yourself the solid, get a good brush, and then take care of it. It's not glass. You don't have to treat it like it's fragile, but you do have to respect the fact that you made an investment and, keep it clean. Keep the paint from building up down by the ferrule down here so that the bristles all splay out. Don't leave it sitting in solvents or water overnight and have the bristles bend and the glue soften and the ferrule and stuff. Just take good care of your stuff. Okay. All right. Now I think I'm going to do the trees gold too. And then we'll do the trim and then the snow. This is going to come out very cute. I'm going to be very pleased with this. So my son had me watching the silliest Halloween movies yesterday. We watched Fido, which was about zombies becoming household servants in the 1950s. It was so strange. It had me laughing, but I'm like, yeah, this is my kid. We couldn't even go for straight up horror. It had to have a little bit of like Alfred E. Newman feeling to it. Little National Lampoony feeling. So I'm gonna do trim. There was another one we watched, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I kind of fell asleep watching it, so not a lot of it registered with me. But it was another one along the same lines. I'm sort of a traditionalist. I'm like, wait, we're not watching, you know, Halloween, Friday the 13th, any of those. Nope, we're watching Fido. But that's okay. It made him happy, so I was fine. And it gave me a chance to take a nap, which I never do. All right, almost done. Then we can do the snow areas. I haven't decided. I think I'm gonna probably end up painting the light bulbs gold too, but I can wait on that for a minute while we do the snow. And I'm also covering those areas where the stain, I bled the stain a little bit into the wrong spots, no biggie. Because again, all this is going to end up covered in foil. I'm just laying down the appropriate color to go under my foil. So our first house was all silvers and grays. This one's going to be all golds and browns. Okay, let's throw that over there. And then let's move on to, let's see, neutral white set coat. Also, if you've seen it listed on our site, it also is called off-white, but its actual name is neutral white. I'm gonna paint this. And the reason I'm using neutral white instead of white is because this neutral white has a creaminess to it, hint of creamy color to it, that will work with golds better than a stark white will. And I've already figured out what product I'll be applying over this, but I'm going to leave that as a little surprise for you all. And I'm just getting all the wood sealed up now with an appropriate base color so that we can do foils and plasters and whatever other little bits of wonderfulness we decide to create. I'm going to get down here first so that I can rest my hand on this edge without putting my hand in paint. Oops, a little smudge. All right, give me just a second. I need to grab something. So I made a little tiny smudge of neutral white on our wood. That's not hard to fix. You can use water. You need a little Q-tip, and now these are mini Q-tips that I get online from Muji, M-U-J-I, that's a Japanese company. But to remove a little smear like this, these little mini Q-tips are perfect. I just dip it in a little water and go back in and clean it right off. All gone. That's what I love little Q-tips for. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot to do the rest of that. I got distracted by my cleanup. Jesus, if it was a bright, shiny object, I would have gone chasing down the street after it. I swear. Okay, so we got that done. All that's left is this windowsill in the bottom of the house where the snow is on the ground, and then we can set it aside and let it dry. Now I will likely start applying the foil adhesive off camera, just because you all have seen me put foil adhesive on a million things. And putting foil adhesive on here is going to take a little while. It has to be done in stages, so we'll come back and forth. So unless there's somebody who messages me that they desperately need to see me apply the first layer of foil adhesive on this, I think I'll probably do that off camera, and then we'll move on once it's dry and start right away with the foiling. Okay, so I've got that all done. And I clear this one little brush out. Clean my brush that I'd been using with the brown, and that's what I'm going to come back in up here and paint the ornaments with. So when I was in college, a lot of my early art classes were taught by grad students. Very common practice with universities. And it was very interesting to see who was going to be a good teacher and who wasn't. But I actually draw from those experiences now, because it never felt good when a teacher laughed at you for not knowing something. And it was not the experienced professors who did it, it was the grad students. Because they didn't have the distance from school that teachers did, or the professors did, to understand that something is new for somebody. You shouldn't laugh at them, you should encourage them and show them how something needs to be done to help them. And I never forgot that, so hopefully I try to do that when I teach. Although sometimes my students are really funny unintentionally, and then we all laugh. My very first big class teaching in Kentucky, we were teaching a wall finishes class about 10 years ago. And suddenly, a couple of people in the class were from New Orleans and just outside there. And all of a sudden, I heard Zydeco playing on somebody's phone, and the entire back of the classroom was dancing while they were troweling and doing their finishes. And it was such a great moment that I do have it on film. It's actually been shared on Facebook. But I had a whole bunch of students in the back dancing, and that's what I love about classes, because you get a whole bunch of creative people together, and you never know what's going to happen. Oops, I missed one. I can't miss one. All right, so I'm going to set all this aside. Now, you can see we are now all set up for our next step. Okay, let me flip this up because somebody's saying something to me. Ginny, Ginny. All right, Jenny, you desperately need to see me put on adhesive. Okay, you'll see me put adhesive on the next live, I promise. All right, everybody, I'm trying to keep the phone from sliding down on its tripod. You all have a great day. I'll be back in a little while once this is dry, and Jenny, I'll send you a private message, and you'll be able to know that I'm putting on foil adhesive. You guys are awesome. I appreciate this. Oh, you guys are so great. I'm going back, seeing if there's questions. Oh, poor Joy. She has no craft store anywhere near her. Oh gosh, that's the one thing. Thank goodness for being able to order online. It takes a few days, sometimes even a week or two, but come on. I don't know what happened there. It lost, like, the whole thing. I was scrolling through and something weird happened. I don't know what the heck happened there. Let's see. Joy says her other half does the gardening. She has a black thumb. Yeah, my husband has a black thumb. Mine is brownish. His is dead black. All right, everybody. It has been wonderful. And I will be back in a little while. I just wanted to do a quick review, see if anybody had any questions I didn't answer. We're all set, and I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye.